In any methodology or system of mathematics, there are always alternatives, and I was always taught this, and I'm amazed. The more I learn, the more I learn about alternatives in mathematics. And if there are certain limits of what you're dealing with, there's always recourse to approximations, so you can at least get a portion of your answer, even if you feel you can't get the whole answer. And there are variations on that, and that I studied extensively just in the limited realm of the golden ratio itself, the approximation of the irrational roots of a polynomial in one unknown of integer coefficients. Many, many methods, even trial and error, but they're all methods, and they're much better than just guessing or using long division or whatever, because some polynomials you can't. They are non-reducible, irreducible, or non-reducible. And so the best you can do is approximations of the roots that solve that polynomial. And there are trial and error methods that are iterative that home in on the answer and approximate it as you go along. Well, I'm reading about a problem I'm having completing my task of implementing the exercise of RSA encryption that Jordan Hack had presented on YouTube about 3 years ago, 2013, and the last step of the procedure has been an impossibility for the JavaScript to handle, because it's a very big number raised to the power of a very big number, and then taking the modulo of that to some base. So, and I just was vexing myself last night, and then I stumbled on the very solution to that, and there are many, on how to reduce that procedure from a very large set of multiplications to a very small set of multiplications, although you're still dealing with a number that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger beyond the size of the register that your machine is. And so then you go, okay, now what? So that's another problem. But there are shortcuts for taking a number to a power when the power is huge and the base number is also large. Well, my point is, nobody's telling you in math you can't do something, because you can. And at the very least you can approximate, even if you can't get closure in your pursuit of a solution. Now, what if somebody doesn't like what you're doing in math? Are they going to come along and do the same thing they do to free energy thinkers, free energy inventors? Or you can't do that. We're going to intimidate you, and we know where you live and where your daughter goes to school, and the person thinks it over. One of the guys who was working on the Joe cell thinks it over. Say, okay, I'm going to destroy all my equipment and everything. He's an idiot. And the people who came to him and showed him their gun and 2-inch pile of paperwork on every little detail of their daily life, they're idiots too. You know why? Because they're appealing to authority, at least by way of implication, who sent them, and the authority of a pistol, if you prefer, and appeal to emotion. Oh my God, he's going to kill us, and they may not appeal to the other logical fallacy of common sense, popular consent, which is another logical fallacy. Those are 3 out of the main 5 that I remember because they're used so often. And you're basically an idiot if you use any one or more of those logical fallacies in your thinking or discussion with somebody, and you expect them to be an idiot too, to agree with you. And how do we get by with that, though, in a society? How do we get away with lying to ourselves? Telling ourselves, I'm not an idiot, because everybody else does it. Because everybody else does it. And then, God forbid, you should mix with somebody else's culture in which they're not idiotic in the same way you are. They're different type of idiot. They're making different style of mistakes of logical reasoning. So the problem then is a cultural problem due to the lack of one culture conforming to the other. And then when you get yourself a global culture, then everybody is idiotic in the same fashion. How nice. And it's in fashion to be idiotic a certain way, but over time it changes, right? Fashions change. But we're still idiots because we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves it's okay. And of course, children find out right away. They can, hey, it's pretty obvious. Until they learn, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be an idiot because it would be really bad if I wasn't. Oh, and then it becomes a moral question, see, and then they turn morality on its head. Logic has nothing to do with morality. This was the whole point of Spock on Star Trek, making decisions based on logic. And then people jibing him for that. And then, and saying, well, it's not human. Oh, it's human to be idiotic, and that's okay. It's human to lie to yourself and say, oh, it's okay, because everybody else has agreed to lie in the same way under specific contexts. Whew. It makes you wonder. Oh, boy. Now, in math, there's no room for idiocy. It's purely logical. And if you're trying to do something, you can't be idiotic and say, well, we're going to lie to ourselves at this step. Are you kidding? Why do you even start? Get out of the business. You don't belong there. So why apply any differently to everyday life, our person? Well, because I'm not an equation and I can die. Equations go on forever. No, they don't. They become forgotten. They become swept aside with idiotic logic, saying, well, what we're really doing is this, like 2's complement arithmetic performed at the end of 1's complement arithmetic because the computer scientists can't accept subtracting a number from itself to get -0. What's -0? It's infinity. Well, I can't deal with that. Infinity is not a number. 0 is a number, and they're both limits, but infinity is not a number. But we'll allow 0 to be a number. That in itself is idiotic because it's not logical. To lie to yourself, at the very least, with using 2's complement arithmetic at the end of performing all of your arithmetical logical operations at the base level of machine language programming, using 1's complement arithmetic, and then denying that you did it, saying, well, today's computers uses 2's complement arithmetic. Wikipedia's claim says, without even stating the obvious to a computer scientist, oh yeah, but first you have to use 1's complement to get to the point of using 2's complement. Duh. So you bite the hand that feeds you by claiming you never used it. Oh, you did it all on your own. Yeah, right. How do you suppose we got here? Now we choose amnesia, a form of lying. I forgot. I don't remember. Well, how'd you get here? Oh. Naughty, naughty, you're lying. The way they tell you in court, don't lie. So I'm supposed to lie to myself? That's acceptable? That way when I come into court, I'm not lying, I'm just an idiot? Oh, no wonder we need attorneys. I'm an idiot. I need an attorney to go into court. Well, when you get to the piece of paper and your pencil to work out a math problem, you're not conforming, you're not lying, unless it's a homework assignment and you've got to give your answer a certain way. Oopsie. Teacher marks it F, even though it's right. She's teaching you authority and how to become an idiot very quickly if you want to get a passing grade. I hope that doesn't happen too often, but you know what? It sounds like, as a scenario, it's quite possible. So, this is my little diatribe on idiocy. But it's okay if you conform. And that pretty much sizes it up. But you're certainly not thinking logically, and you're certainly not being honest with yourself. You're lying to yourself. But it's okay, since everybody else does it. You go for that? You accept that? That's okay with you? You're okay with that? Seinfeld would do a whole chain, at least one episode, if not a chain of episodes, on being idiotic. Hey, that was the whole point of the series. It was a bunch of idiots who thought they were so smart. Really? Yet to us, the casual observer, they're idiots. There's not a single one among them. The Fab Four were a bunch of idiots. 4 idiots. And the only people who were not idiotic, I think, in that series were the bit players who came in one time and you never saw them again, who threw the universe of the Fab Four into disarray because they, for once, they were not. Somebody was not being idiotic. And I think the casualty of the whole thing was they're living in New York, what looks like New York. And in New York, that you would think that would be reality check every moment of every day. And nobody can get away with being an idiot. Unless, what? We choose to be amnesiac. Oh yeah, I don't know, I forgot that one. I don't know. There's an excuse for you. I don't remember. That way you don't have to be, look like you're an idiot. You just, all right, skips, I don't know. Get back to me next week. I'll let you know. And then, of course, you never hear from them. Denial. Ooh, it's so good. In case of being squashed into a corner, just use the denial trick. Oh, I have something on the stove. I'll pause with that thought for a moment while I turn off the fire, and you never come back to the front door and you slam it in their face. My neighbor taught me that one. I have something on the stove, or I have a long-distance call on the phone I'm in the middle of. Excuse me. Click. Very quiet, light slam in the face. Not a loud one, not a boom, no, just click. And you're going, I'm waiting. Were they serious or what? I don't see them coming back to finish the conversation. Oh my God, this is what I get out of studying math, No wonder people don't like math in school, because they want to be an idiot. They know that's the way to get ahead. And the rest of us smart geeks wonder why we don't make all the fast bucks, because we're not idiots. And if you have machismo, now you're appealing to emotion, authority, and a subculture of consent. Because, of course, you've got your clique, so that's not, you're not looking for popularity. But it's subtext of popularity. A special class of popularity. You're part of the gang, But you appeal to emotion and to a hierarchy of power and control. Who's in charge? Who's got the most machismo? Okay, we'll defer to him. But that's how to be an idiot. A successful one in today's world, but an idiot. I could go on and on, obviously. There's no end to this discussion of all the little twists and turns, and it's like, wow. So, the whole reason for me thinking about these thoughts is, well, what if some men in black came to my door and said, stop doing what you're doing? What? Now who's the idiot? And you want me to be an idiot with you? Who sent you? Another idiot? Well, what about the person at the top of the chain? Oh, they're not idiots. They wouldn't be idiotic to come and present an idiotic argument to my face. No, they'll send a lackey to do it for them. Oh, it's so much better that way. That in itself is idiotic. Let somebody else do your dirty work for you, and then claim it's okay if you yourself don't do it. And that's what a chain of command is for. So that every layer from the top down gets dirtier and grungier. And nobody likes the bottom ass job because it's so grungy. Yeah, they're the most idiotic. That's why bureaucrats are idiotic. They're at the bottom of the chain. And so they got the most amount of idiocy in the task that they have to perform. Where the person at the top, all he has to do is give orders. And create the fashionable style of idiocy. But not be beholden to anybody. To be an idiot. Just make the command, Of course, there's karma laced there. Big time. Oh, it'll catch up and bite you later. But at the moment, I'm sitting pretty because I'm on top of the heap. So there it is. They dangle the carrot of celebrities who they claim are not as idiotic because they're not doing grunge jobs. They're at the top. Ooh, they're sweet. Ooh, they're whistling Dixie. Oh yeah. Ooh, don't be an idiot and fall at the bottom of the heap. Worship royalty. Yeah, because they get away with idiotic behavior, yet they don't get filthy, because they let somebody else do the grunge work for them. So it's all these little things, these corollaries to the main maxim, that help a society get away with this shit. You think I'm cursing and using crappy language? That's nothing by comparison to what I just described on a global scale. That's nothing. That's like little teeny idiocy. Little teeny weeny bit. Very, very small. Small fry by comparison. I'll admit to, yeah, I'm an idiot for cursing, but that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing by comparison to what I'm describing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this is what I get for studying math and looking for how to solve difficult problems using simpler solutions. I can't afford to be an idiot because I have various constraints. I've got a software, JavaScript, which is already a constraint in itself. If you've ever dealt with it, it's like, oh my God, how do I deal with this? But it's very popular and very readily available on your web browser. If you can program something in JavaScript, you don't even have to put something up on a website. You can just do it yourself and show yourself in real time, dynamically, some procedure and the result of that procedure. But there are a lot of constraints, and JavaScript does that to you. It gives you constraints to make that life difficult. So then you turn to math, higher math, to look for ways around those constraints, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm finding they're there, but I fully don't understand all the workaround solutions that I need to implement to get around the constraints that JavaScript presents to me. So I'm getting there, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I won't find the ultimate answer. But in the course of doing so, I realize this problem in society and why mathematics is not popular and why we had to have a character named Spock on Star Trek to point to us what George Burns already did with the help of Gracie Allen. He made her an idiot. She's not an idiot, but the character she portrayed was that of an idiot. They got a ton of laughs. I learned this good time when I was 5 years old. That he made her look like an idiot, yet, to her line of reasoning, oh, she was so smart. And you know what? It seemed like she was being very smart in her line of reasoning. And of course the audience would laugh. Oh my God, she really believes the idiotic line of reasoning that she's utilizing. Well, duh, it sounds like it could be true in her world. And so I saw that George Burns gave us a choice. We could either laugh at her or agree with her. But we'd be self-confessed idiots if we agreed with her because we were being idiots in a way that is not conformist. And given the fact that the 50s were full of tension coming right out of World War II, you know, we were still shaking and quaking from what we had gone through. And we didn't even get a break between World War I and World War II, and plus the Depression during World War II to boot. So we were really savvy about conforming, and this is what the 50s is all about, being squeaky clean. And this is why George Burns was able to make so much headway in the humor department, because he dealt with a character he was portraying, namely his wife, who was a rank-and-file idiot, if ever there was one, simply because she was out of sync, out of step with the idiocy that was going on in society during the 50s. And so everybody could laugh at her rather than choose to agree with her. Now I knew, in watching that show, he was giving us a choice. He was not giving us an ultimatum. He was giving us a choice because, given the right context, any idiocy can be made to be valid if you choose the right context. And that's what she was doing. She was limiting herself to a very specific context in which her idiotic style of thinking was rational. And everybody else was an idiot, when in fact the audience was seeing it the other way around. But according to context, anything could be made to be true or idiotic. according to context. And this is why I had a rebellion, a fit of rebellion when doing the IQ test they gave us in elementary school. Because I realized context is everything, and they were testing me to see how well I knew about our society that we live in at that tender age of 10 or 11 or whatever it was. They weren't testing my ability to think logically. They were testing my ability to think logically and then hack off an edge and be slightly idiotic, illogical, in order to conform to the context in which I lived. Because they didn't give me all the answer, all of the premise to figure out the answer. Yet they gave me multiple choice answers. Okay, pick one. And only one is the right answer, right? To get a high Q score, right? There's only one right answer. But I saw multiple answers where they're all right, based on context. And they never give you enough information for context to let you fill in the rest. Well, this is what government does. They get you to lie to yourself by not telling you the whole truth, but because you live according to context, you're a conformist, they know what you're going to fill it in with. And so you end up lying to yourself because they trained you like a bunch of robots in school, public school, how to lie to yourself. And so they know how. And so this is the way the police would come to my door and argue with me, using fallacies of logic. And then they would talk nonstop. So you can't even get a word in edgewise without being rude and interrupting them. So I had to finally interrupt the guy and tell him to his face. And he was left scratching his head because he could see he couldn't get nowhere with me. But I had to be rude and interrupt. Because the guy would talk nonstop. Yada, 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 yada. All of it a bunch of gunk. Unbelievable. And his partner just sat there like, well, he didn't object, so it must be true. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So you see, I've been dealing with this since the age of 5. And because I've never, ever had to agree with anyone that the pursuit of wealth is worthwhile, I have never had to worry about being an idiot. Yet, so much else has been said about me. So many other names, Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, they can if somebody actually throws sticks and stones at you. Because they're fed up with trying to call you names, but they're getting nowhere. Sticks and stones do hurt. Not the names, because the names are idiotic. But the sticks and stones do hurt. And that's very Gothic to revert to that style of reasoning, kicking and screaming and punching, destroying property. Yeah, that'll do it. Or harassment, abuse, that'll do it. But it's not name-calling. It's harassment is a little different. It's done very, very astutely with timing and delivery and that kind of thing. It's done very effectively. But it still has nothing to do with a logical argument. And math is nothing but logic. There is no idiotic behavior in the field of math. And that's why it's so hard to understand, because we are trained in this country of the United States of America to be idiots. Idiots. That's why we're so imperialistically wealthy, healthy, and God-given divinity of master race, whatever. We rule the planet. Because we're a bunch of idiots. How long do you think we're going to get away with this? How long? Do you think our good karma is going to stretch to the breaking point? It already is stretching. You can already see it in the TM movement. It's already been stretched beyond the breaking point. It's already undergoing self-destruction. Because people in the TM movement are acting like idiots. And they've been doing it all along, but getting away with it. Now, the karma is catching up. And the Transcendental Meditation movement is Sakola. There's still good people who do their meditation, quietly in the comfort and privacy of their own home. But the movement as an institution is filled with so much idiocy that it literally has been destroying itself from within itself from day one. It's just never got to the point of development of self-destruction as it has today, in today's world. And so that's just a little snapshot of what society is going through. Because, TM is no different than society. It's a part of society. And it has sought to conform to society to be accepted by society. That was idiotic on its choice. on its part to choose to do that. And now that karma of idiocy has caught up to it and destroyed it from within. So we're idiots. We're suicidal to be idiots. It's socially suicidal to be an idiot. Yet, in today's world, you can't be successful if you're not an idiot. Yet it's suicidal on a social grand scale to be an idiot. That will spell the terminus of your society, in no question about it. It's just a question of how long will it take. How much good karma do you got to keep up this idiocy? I hate to do a social diatribe on mathematics and logic, but I can't help but notice how difficult it is to study math on the one hand, and why. Okay? And so that's what this video is about, the why. Because in math class, sometimes we, in high school in particular, we had students who would complain, why do I have to do this? What's it good for? You know what? I'm guilty of that now. I wasn't then, but I am now. That's why math is so hard for me now, because I question what is it good for? And I've been doing that for the last 20 years, questioning it. What is it good for? Other than just abstract thinking, you know. But in the real world, what's it good for? You see? I've ended up like everyone else. And now math is difficult for me. And people say I'm incompetent, this, that, and the other thing. Yet, I guess under the pressure, I've lost it. The pressure of conformity, I've lost it. So that now math is difficult for me. It's not easy anymore. That's my own self-assessment.